first one I did was a head. It was just a man's head that was sitting. In fact, we were at Amersham School to do it, and I did it when I was about 30.
Often sculptures and things are put in places that are specialised, you know, where things have happened.
These days, not really. I've seen one sculpture that was Alexander the Great, but I'd never actually seen that in real life. I've just seen that from online.
In public places especially, there's a lot of sculptures, especially for like memorial purposes as well.
Where I most see them is like town centres and shopping like centres, because there's usually just sculptures there just for decoration. I think that's where I see them most.
I think more people are getting the desire to go and see them. I mean, they see them on the television and they, you know, think, wow, I'd like to go and see that.
Oh, I think it's changed a lot. Great deal, because methods have changed.
I think photography is more popular because it's more accessible. People can be photographers just if you have a phone. Like, it's a lot harder to be a sculptor and to put sculptures places, but kind of photography can be anywhere, and social media, you can just post photography everywhere.
I don't think so. I think photography is massive nowadays. You know, you don't really see many sculptures. I don't know, you just don't really see it these days anymore.
I think it depends what for. I think photography nowadays is much more popular, but I feel like in public spaces, sculptures are much more popular and seen around. But nowadays in like museums, like more modern museums, it is photography more than sculptures.
And I like Henry Moore's garden. I know it sounds funny and it's old-fashioned, but I like his garden.
I spend ages in the art galleries, and I love the London galleries. You know, we're so lucky in this country because a lot of it is free.
Art galleries and massive.
When I was younger, I visited a few exhibitions. Like, I visited some museums when I was younger, but I can't actually remember much about them, to be honest.
Yeah, abroad in places like Italy, I went to loads when I went to Rome, because a lot of famous sculptures are placed there, but not many in England, I think.
London Museum is one I've been to multiple times, but I was quite young, so I don't remember much.
I don't think I've ever visited a sculpture exhibition, but I did this one where it was like little things, and it was like a bunch of like little like pieces of art, and that was cool. There was these little like jars, right, and they had like little tiny crochet animals, and they were like this big, and that was really impressive.
Maybe the history of the sculpture, in my opinion.
I think the meaning behind the sculpture, like I think if you're making a sculpture with no purpose, then it's not as good, but if it has a meaning behind it or like a story behind it, I think it definitely brings more like meaning and a better sculpture.
Effort is what makes a sculpture good or bad. I feel like if it's simple, not that it's bad, like, but if it's simple, I think I'd like it a lot less than if there's like a really like big, confusing like sculpture that clearly took a lot of effort.
A good piece of sculpture is a good piece of sculpture, and nobody can take anything away from it. You know, they'll always appreciate the fact that it's sculpted.
What they're doing, you know what I mean? The way they project themselves.
It makes it easier for people because there's more resources and planning, and I think technology means that you can learn how to do something online. Like, you don't need to go to a sculpture class, you can look up how to sculpt.
So nowadays you can make sculptures with things like 3D printing and stuff like that, but I don't really know enough about sculptures to go into that, but I know 3D printing is a thing now, so that might be able to do it.
I think you can make sculptures with different things as well now, and also planning for sculptures. I feel like back in like olden times it would be more just freehand. It would take lots more times. Where I feel like now it's like obviously they take time, but a bit easier to work your way around making a sculpture.
Quite a lot, now more than ever. When I was young, there was the old-fashioned soldier on a horse.
I get scent when I go into the church. You know, it's so wonderful when you think they didn't have any electricity, and they were climbing up there doing, doing chiselling and all some things they had.
Really.
To me, that is, I'm enthralled by it. I love it.
Yeah, definitely. Sculptures are definitely less popular. Like, I don't really hear anything about sculptures, anything being made about sculptures or nothing. Like, no one really cares about them anymore.
I do believe sculptures have become less popular for our generation, mainly because of they might be outdated, as people our generation may enjoy different types of art.
I think it depends on how you see things in general. Like, I feel like if you're quite an artistic, creative person, you'll appreciate them more. But I feel like our generation is lacking that a bit more than an older generation, where I feel like they'd appreciate the stories behind sculptures, whereas our generation doesn't as much.
I don't know what'll happen in the future. I don't think anyone does. Because they'll suddenly find a new material and they'll think, oh, this will make a wonderful sculpture. And there you go. They might have a wider view of sculpture as sculpture grows, but I don't think that the group will change, because there's only a certain group of people who like sculpture.
Well, by law, some people would probably say it's vandalism, but again, it's how you interpret it. It can be art to some, vandalism to some. It's just, who it's seen by.
I think it's considered vandalism if it's just like words or scribbles on walls, and like people like make their trademarks with their names and stuff. I think that because there's no, like, it doesn't look nice like in areas, but I think graffiti, like Banksy for example, where it is like an image and it looks really nice, I think that is art.
Maybe vandalism. It depends on if they've got permission.
I don't think it's vandalism. And it depends on what type of graffiti it is.
Yes.
Vandalism.
Very different opinions.
I love her.
When I was younger, I used to think it was like, I used to walk past it, I used to think it's kind of cool, but then you kind of grow older and you think, oh, it's a bit like, not dirty, but like, it's overused.
Well, when I was younger, I used to think graffiti was more as like a fun thing to do, and now I kind of see it as it's more meaningful, as it can be more empowering to spread a message.
I feel like when I was younger, I saw it more as a bad thing, because I feel like older people around me saw it as a bad thing, and as vandalism. But I feel like now I appreciate it more, and I also pay attention to more of the art side of it, rather than just the like scribbles and like words just on walls and stuff like that.
I think initially when I was like younger, I used to think it was really cool. Like, I used to want to like learn how to do like the cool writing. I don't think that's changed much. I still think it's cool. Like, as I said, like, it depends on what the graffiti is, but in general, I think it's a cool thing to do.
Well, graffiti used to be rubbish.
Lovely.
You like it?
Ooh.
It really appalls me how filthy the people are. You know, it really, really annoys me. You've hit a very touchy point there with me. I think it's disgusting.
Oh no.
It was Banksy, I think, who started bringing it to life. Suddenly, a thing appeared, and he said, "Who did that?" Nobody knew. And then eventually, Banksy's name came up. It is Banksy, isn't it? And he became famous.
Have you ever seen graffiti being made?
I haven't actually, never seen graffiti being made, but I've seen online being made, but I've never seen it in person, personally, no.
Well, a time I can remember seeing graffiti being created, I was coming back home from a football game, and then there was this alley we have to walk through, and I could see someone in a hood spraying spray paint as they would for graffiti, and it looked quite detailed.
Yeah, on the streets of London and stuff, people always sat there like trying to sell graffiti, and like you see them with like their stencils and stuff, like making really beautiful pieces of art. It looked quite complicated actually. You don't realise that because it's just a spray can, you don't actually realise it is quite clever how they do make stuff like that just from colours in a spray can. I think that is quite incredible.
They're mentally insane.
I mean, now there is like famous graffiti paintings, just like Banksy, like everywhere, which creates more of an aesthetic. And I also think it brings a bit more character to the city as well. But yeah.
I think it does have an impact, an aesthetic impact, seeing as most graffiti I've seen is more like hidden and in abandoned places, and I feel as if they were to put graffiti in modern places, it could match the vibe the city's going for.
I think it does, but in like a nice way. I think cities without anything kind of look a bit boring, and I think graffiti shows like people.
Yes.
No. I think it's disgusting.
Yeah, I'd say it's changed. I think it used to be a lot more like people just going out there to do vandalism, and now it can be a lot more political. Like there's some things like the Palestine stuff, I've seen Palestine like things on walls, and it's definitely become a lot more political.
Yes, I do think graffiti's changed over the years. I think after the pandemic, graffiti has been more socially accepted in certain places.
Overall, it is becoming more like popular, I feel.
Down the East End. um,
How do you think society views graffiti today compared to when you were younger?
Yeah, I think it's a lot more popular and a lot more appreciated by people, especially of our generation. Compared to when I was younger, I feel like it was just like messy and just everywhere, whereas now people spend time doing graffiti and people will stop and like look at it and appreciate it more.
I think people like Banksy have done a lot for graffiti. They've made it actually into an art form.
I think we've become more accepting of it. I don't know if that's right, but like when I was younger, it seemed to be like a lot of people were like complaining about graffiti, and now it doesn't. I feel like now it might be more accepted as an art form, and people will like pay for like murals and having graffiti on like streets and walls and stuff.
Graffiti is viewed in today's society as it's not enjoyed by the older generation compared to our generation, who enjoy it, enjoy to look at graffiti and possibly do graffiti themselves.
Matt is.
No comment.
No advice.
Welcome to my show. Jake Nash, signing out.
See many sculptures that often. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
Where you worded it?
That side. No.
Keep it going, keep it going, keep going, keep going, keep.